Okay, I'm going to try to run through very quickly, like a short synopsis of what Section 230 is. But for people that keep saying, I'm not saying this to you specifically, but for people who keep saying, what is it, but then they don't watch or listen, please listen. Inserting here, because it turned out to be that short. It's about a 5-minute video. But if you can't put it on 2 times speed and watch for 5 minutes, I don't know what to tell you. Except that your attention span is probably too short to give a shit about Section 230 anyway. Section 230 basically makes it so that internet service providers, companies, websites, social media companies are not held responsible for the things that people post on them. The way that a telecommunications company like T-Mobile is not responsible for what somebody says on the phone. And there are a lot of people, either well-meaning and or some people that are doing the weaponization of the children, but the children routine to be like, yeah, but what about the kids that were affected by Meta? And I get also that there are some good-meaning people on the left that are like, fuck the oligarchs that run the social media companies, but you're not actually punishing them by doing this. Repealing Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act would remove any legal immunity that protects websites, platforms, and internet service providers from being held liable for content posted by users. This shift would likely trigger massive litigation, forcing platforms to heavily censor user-generated content to avoid liability for defamation, slander, or harmful material. What happened to Gawker after they were sued? They went out of business. And so many people are so fucking short-sighted that they'll personalize it and go, oh, well, I didn't like Gawker. That's not the point. The point is they were able to do it. A bunch of fucking right-wingers were able to put it out of business. And you know, the funny thing about that Gawker lawsuit that put it out of business, you know who funded that? Peter Thiel. People who think that repealing Section 230 is going to help regular people are fools, I'm afraid. It's not going to help regular people. It is going to suppress and censor regular people, and the tech companies are going to do so, and then they're going to excuse it by saying, listen, we can't let that kind of user-generated content on our platform because we don't want to get sued if they're hateful, if they're spreading misinformation. Well, who's deciding that? Ask yourself who's going to be the arbiter of who decides what's misinformation, what's hate, what's harassment. People also aren't thinking about the other consequences that would come from repealing Section 230. And there has been a lot of ink spilled about this subject. People who have studied it, who understand that doing so would cause trillions in economic damage. The repeal could cost Americans over $2.2 trillion in lost productivity, reduced online services, and stock market having affecting retirement savings. Another thing, that people don't think about is that, like, you think they're just going to be going after misinformation and political content. No, people could sue people that just have like online businesses. Of course, we've talked about the chilling effect that it's going to have on free speech. Marginalized communities and dissenting voices would suffer the most, as platforms might preemptively block controversial topics to dodge suits, leading to more cautious, homogenized web, which is exactly what is happening on TikTok. I will remind you, they have been left and right taking videos down having anything to do with ICE or Minneapolis, saying that it's causing strife and spreading misinformation. And then any video that's been posted about Gaza recently has been censored, hidden, or taken down for graphic content. Because, you know, genocides tend to be graphic. Even people who don't have nefarious intent are going to have to censor more out of caution and fear. Over censorship and moderator's dilemma, platforms are going to likely err on the side of removing content to avoid liability, leading to collateral censorship where lawful but edgy controversial speech is suppressed. So you're basically just gonna have like what? Laura Loomer and Laura Trump content? This could mean no critical reviews on Yelp, no political satire on TikTok, or stripped down versions of Reddit and Wikipedia. You are doing it all wrong if you think that this is about holding tech platforms accountable. That is not what it's about. It's about covering your mouth. It's about making you less free online. There will, of course, be explosions in litigation and legal costs, something that most normal people can't afford, unless, of course, maybe Peter Thiel's backing it. Another really foolish basket for the left and libs to put their eggs in, considering that it's the right that is willing to spend unlimited money to get what they want. I remember during the woke years, I guess, and the Biden administration, people saying, watch out what you wish for when it comes to censorship and controlling what people can and can't say online, because once the right takes power, they are going to do it tenfold. And would you look at that? That's exactly what they're doing. This is crazy. It baffles me that I am having to tell people who are on the left, in any capacity, liberal, independent, whatever, that maybe giving more power to the government to control what you can and can't say online is not a good idea.